All right, we're live. Welcome. Thanks for joining the live stream. We have a lot to talk about tonight. It's been quite the news week, and we'll also get to all your questions. So, yeah. Also, if you haven't seen the public betas for iOS 26, iPadOS 26, tvOS 26, all the public betas are now out. So if you've been waiting to upgrade your devices for the public beta, it's available now. I'll be talking more about the public betas probably on my channel at some point in the future. So not really going to talk about that much tonight. We have a lot of other stuff to talk about. But I did just want to mention that at the top of the live stream here. Heads up that the public betas are available. And none other than Mr. George Langenbeer here in the chat. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining, George. I hope you're feeling better. I saw your daughter's having to put on your socks still. That's, I still sometimes put on my daughter's socks, and one day I'll probably get in an accident where she'll be putting on my socks as well. So it all comes full circle, I guess. But yeah, hopefully you're feeling better, George, and see you back more back soon. Oh, thanks for joining, Jody. Good to see you. From Canton, Georgia, Jeff, another regular viewer. Nice to see you here. And hey, Modern Day Tech, Eric, Modern Day Tech, another, just like George, another great content creator here on YouTube, talking about smart home tech. So let's get into a little of the news, and I'll say hi to some folks in the chat again. But we have, first off, the new AppleCare structure. So it's kind of boring, like insurance talk, right? But I just wanted to mention it briefly here. I think in general, this is probably a good move if you like having AppleCare on multiple devices. We'll see if this arguably lower price and certainly less out of pocket up front, right, is a monthly cost rather than paying, let's say $120, $200, whatever, on the on top of your new device purchase, getting it spread out over multiple months. But the idea here is that it's a one simple fee for 3 devices. So it's $19.99 a month for 3 products, and you can have one Vision Pro on your complete AppleCare plan if you're into that. But I think this makes a lot of sense. I hope this doesn't overwhelm Apple's Genius bars or things with like additional people signing up for this, right? And then that means more claims with Apple. But and then of course you can add additional devices for $5.99 a month. There's a whole discussion to be had about AppleCare, no AppleCare, what makes sense. And, I typically do it for the devices that I take around a lot with me, something that's going to stay mostly in my home, like a desktop Mac. I don't really bother with it, but I've always had it on my iPhone, other devices I go on and off of, whether it's worth it or not. But I think I'm going to sign up for this and add a few of my recent devices to at least a 3-device plan. We'll see. I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking about it. And I wanted to mention it here because it could be something you're into as well. And last week I didn't do this, but this week I will put links to all these stories in the description of the live stream after the initial live stream. So if you're watching this after the fact, check the description for links to some of these stories if you want to follow along. Another thing that you might not have caught is iRobot. So they're the company behind Roomba. If you haven't been following, they went through a lot of restructuring, and they're no longer merging they're no longer becoming part of Amazon. That whole deal fell out. So they're their own independent company again. And they released a handful of new updates with this Roomba Max 705 combo. This has the roller mop style that I really like from Ecovacs's X8 Pro Omni, which they reference, The Verge references here. And the kind of innovative gimmick or, technology advancement that Roomba has here is a cover for that mop so that it really prevents any kind of dripping or water or things getting on the carpet when the robot goes over carpet or rugs after mopping the floor. I've never, in months of using the X8 Pro Omni with this roller mop, I find it manages the moisture of the water very well. And I've never really seen an issue with this. But, I'm not going to say it's not a problem, right? I mean, it's something. So just wanted to mention that Roomba has this new vacuum, and it does have that mop cover. Of course, I have a handful of vacuum videos in the works on my channel right now. I think it's a really interesting space, and it's going to be getting more interesting, I think, as time goes on. So, stay tuned for robot vacuum news and advancements, but this is one of them. I will probably not be reviewing this iRobot Roomba, but I do have some other reviews or videos just about robot vacuums planned. Smart shades. So Nanoleaf has a collaboration. This is just like the email they sent me that I'm showing right now. So I don't think I'll be able to put this in the chat. This is like their marketing email, not like a thing specific to me as a creator. But they're collaborating with Rise for smart curtains. So you'll be able to coordinate those with Nanoleaf. Now, if you're using something like Apple Home, like I use, then you can already coordinate your smart shades with your Nanoleaf lights. I think the advantages here are sort of that you could get some better integrations with their smart shades and some of the smart scenes that Nanoleaf has. Of course, you can trigger some of those with Apple Home scenes, but that link gets a little bit tricky to maintain, and you don't have as many options as opening the Nanoleaf app. So it could be nice to be able to just in the Nanoleaf app control your shades at the same time as your light scenes if you're really into multicolor Nanoleaf light scenes. And of course, I think some of these deals are still active for Nanoleaf lights. But yeah, so you can use the code SMARTHOME at checkout on Nanoleaf and with Rise to get 15% off. So again, not sponsored, not an affiliate code at all or anything, just something I saw and thought you might want to notice or know about if you're into Nanoleaf and Rise. So another company we talk about on the channel is Sonos. I was actually just cutting together a Sonos short before this live stream that'll go out sometime, I think, on Sunday. This is not surprising, but interesting to note. So Sonos's interim CEO, we talked about this a while back on the live stream, Tom Conrad, has now become the permanent CEO. So I think he was like the head of product at Sonos for a while, but anyways, became the CEO after Patrick Spence stepped down. It seems like he's done a lot of good stuff for the company so far, as an interim CEO. So I'm excited to see what he does over time. I don't think it really impacts us too much as consumers, but other than just, I think it's good to know that at least I think it sounds like Sonos is in good hands now. So you can feel safe about their products aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon, which is nice. But certainly the importance of their app and that whole issue is really shows how much an app can influence a company. But I'm going to say hi to some folks in the chat, and then we'll get back to some more news. Got a lot of folks in the chat here. Wow. Good evening from Hilton Head, Saul. Nice to see you. Hello from Kentucky. Tech and Such. That's a great name. Brandon, nice to see you. Another content creator here on YouTube. Brandon also does a lot of stuff behind the scenes with like community of smart home creators, and really thankful for all of that. And hey, yes, hope George is doing better. We talked about that a little bit before some folks joined. Just sending George all our thoughts and prayers and best wishes for his recovery. I don't know what. Sorry, I just accidentally clicked that chat. Sorry, Brian. I'm not sure the context there. But, I guess that's for AppleCare probably. It's not worth it for any device. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an opinion. I can see the logic behind it. But, it just depends. Some people like AppleCare, some people don't. I think in general, this, depending on how you slice it, means that it's getting cheaper for you if you buy it for multiple devices, and that's kind of why I wanted to call it out and why I'm considering it. But right now, I have AppleCare on my MacBook Pro just because of the cost of the MacBook Pro as well as my iPhone. But other than that, I don't. But I'm thinking about maybe my iPad and AirPods. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that's another point. I know Tech and such, like back to the AppleCare, like it is kind of nice to be able to have an annual or multi-annual option. There was a while there where a family member of mine worked in Apple retail and would give me the friends and family discount that they have. And then from that, you can get the discount on the AppleCare if you buy the multi-year plan as well, which I did for that sometimes, because that can be nice. But yeah, I wish for this new $20 a month plan, I don't know, $240 a year, or let's say $220 or $200 a year would be nice. Maybe they'll add that over time. Brian, nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Oh yeah, you're waiting for your iPad public beta. Yes, the public betas are here. So, could be a good time to jump on the beta train. Robert from Down Under. Yes, all the way from Australia. Nice to see you, Robert. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, nice, Brandon. That's amazing. Yes, I will be there. William, nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Yeah, yes, the Murphy's Law, right? Every time I haven't gotten AppleCare for my Mac, something goes wrong outside the warranty window. Yeah, so enough on AppleCare. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sell AppleCare because I'm not here. That's just, it's up to you what makes sense for your risk insurance, whatever profile. So speaking of new Apple products that you may or may not want to get AppleCare on, the HomePod with a screen, that the rumors continue. And of course, for the longest time, it was really just like, more and more delays for the HomePod with a screen, and just like, when are we ever going to see the HomePod with a screen? Just more bad news. But from there, it's starting to look maybe like we could be getting it this fall. I don't know. There's just enough signs in the betas right now that makes me think that it wouldn't be something that's not coming until the spring, but you never know. I think it's clearly something that Apple's actively working on still, based on these kind of rumors, which basically what this is there's a string of text, right, that would go somewhere in the UI for communicating with the HomePod with the screen or setting preferences, and that string has wound up in the beta. And you could see how this could get missed in potentially, like, Apple, I think, does a lot of things to obfuscate or pull out future releases of products from betas so that people can't dig them up in the software that gets shipped to developers or the general public, which makes sense, right? Apple doesn't want to divulge secrets through their software releases, and there's certainly been times where they've messed up on that in the past, and we've gotten sneak peeks into a lot of different things. So this is, your HomePod won't be able to show you the local weather, time, or respond to Siri requests about your area. So I think this is probably, if you turn off, I'm guessing location services, it sounds like. But again, show is the key thing here that, of course, right now a HomePod can't show you the weather. So we'll see. It also really indicates Apple's strategy that this would potentially become something that's called a HomePod. So there's that side of it too, that we weren't really sure, is this going to be the HomePad or the HomePod or something else? I think it makes sense in a certain way in that Apple's already built up the brand of HomePod. So we'll see where this all lands in the future. But I'm hopeful maybe we'll see something this year about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes, let's say, next spring. But of course, the other rumors are that this is all tied to a lot of Apple's restructuring of Siri and restructuring of app intents. And that's a huge engineering effort with a lot of moving pieces and challenges. And I think if they're deciding that that's still what this product needs to be tied to, who knows when we'll actually see the HomePod. But I'm hoping that either that is going really well, or that the HomePod has sort of become detached from that whole effort, and that, we'll see it sometime this year. But yeah, I'm definitely going to stay tuned on the whole HomePod stuff, probably talking about it in future live streams. So Will here in the chat's talking about, I guess, dropping your phone in the fish tank with no AppleCare. Well, it is waterproof now, I guess. So there's that. William, you bring up a good point about Amazon. I mean, I know plenty of people in the Apple space, plenty of people who like Apple smart home tech, have chosen it because it's a very different approach philosophically from Amazon, right? Much more local priority than things in the cloud, and much more focus on privacy. Although Amazon's gained, I think, more focus on privacy than people give them credit for at this stage. Well, it certainly wasn't a priority for them early on. I really like my Echo Show 20, is it 21 inch? Whatever, I have the big one in our kitchen. And, we've been playing with Alexa Plus. It's become a recurring topic here on the channel, or on these live streams. It's really cool. And I like some of the widgets, and I like the ability to have a nice big photo frame. I think there's a lot of things that Amazon does that I think Apple could take a step further, particularly for people who use a lot of Apple products in their home, especially things like a photo frame. Apple has great access to your photo library if you use iCloud Photo Library, and just being able, they do such a good job of curating your photos for things like the widget or the photos watch face. And so having that on your smart home display would be really nice. We've talked about before the concept of widgets like Amazon has, but they could be things that are similar to what you have on your iPhone, but somehow sort of remotely cast or sent over to the smart display. And Apple's shown some signs of some things with some of the systems that run widgets in the various version 26 releases, like these little, what is it, app snippets, I think, that could potentially remotely run on a smart home display in certain ways. We don't know that, but it's just kind of speculating something like this could happen. So we'll see. But yeah, the one thing, though, that really annoys me about Amazon is that there's still, even in the new Alexa Plus Early Access, and it's like true with a lot of the other things I see from Amazon with their smart displays originally and still going into the future, is they have to have their little slot for like an ad where it has some kind of local news story or national news story or some other thing that Amazon's really trying to push as like content that you should care about, a great recipe or whatever. And you cannot remove that widget, which is really annoying. Before, with the way the current public release operating system for Amazon stuff works, you can have a series of widgets and a photo frame, but it's just a classic example of how Amazon's got to be able to have some slice of that thing that shows you like a little bit of an advertisement, basically what I consider it. It's, some other thing they're trying to put there on the screen for you. And for some people who are less technical, it can be really nice of, hey, I just turn this thing on and I see all this useful information and I don't have to do anything to set that up, right? For some people, that's an advantage. But for folks like us who like to customize everything and, are into the details, it probably would drive you crazy as much as it drives me crazy. So Amazon definitely has some room to grow. Yes, thank you, Brandon. It is the 21, Echo Show 21. That is what I have. So, yes. Next on the, good evening, Bob Shaw. Thank you for joining. Good to see you here. Been doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Another product that came out this week you might have missed, that's kind of smart home related, is the new PowerBug from 12 South. Now, some folks might think of 12 South as like, I don't know, they can be a little bit, I guess you could say, pricey compared to some other options, particularly for things like MagSafe. But I always find their designs to be really good. They have another MagSafe stand, which Apple has used a lot in their ads and commercials, and it just looks really good. And this is, I think, a really cool, new, clever design from 12 South, where it's, the PowerBug, it just sits on that sort of kitchen outlet on your kitchen wall. Could be a bathroom as well. They show some examples of that. And of course, it can charge your phone, but it really is something that fits right in with the standby mode feature on iPhone, right? So you put your iPhone horizontal on a MagSafe charger, you get that kind of smart display like we want Apple to make a dedicated version of. Well, you can get it with an iPhone right now by just doing this. So that can be a really nice way to just have quick access to stuff. And one of the cool things about this too is they have a lot of nice UI for interacting with Apple's voice assistant and also controlling your smart home. You can do a lot of things, and I've talked briefly about this, or actually I've done, I think like, it's a little bit dated, but I've done at least a video or two on standby mode and the different things you can do with it in the past. But it could be a really nice way to just have standby mode on something in your kitchen, and then you can reference it. Now, I guess there's nothing stopping you from using any MagSafe charger for that, right? The advantage here is that it's kind of this compact thing that then also gets off of your kitchen counter, because then it's sort of on the wall. So, and I think it's also clever because a lot of people in their bathrooms or their kitchens have these kinds of outlets. So just a really great design by 12 South. And I ordered one. I plan to, we'll see. I probably talk about it on the channel, work it into content in one way or another. But I just want to call it out because you might be interested in checking it out yourself. So, yeah, having, I'll pull this up over here. Having a standby mode charger, is really nice. That is a multi-device charger. The common option for that is 3-in-1. I've tried Aukey. I did a short about my Aukey charger that they gave me after CES. Anker also has some great options, as Brandon's mentioning. 12 South actually as well. If you want the creme de la creme, I know Stephen Robles here on YouTube. He talks a lot about 3-in-1 chargers, and he continues to go back to the one that I use, which is the 12 South High Rise Deluxe. Where is that? The High Rise 3 Deluxe. Yeah, here it is. So definitely on the elegant premium side, but yeah, I think it's a cool. Whoops! Now I have Brandon's comment back on here. Sorry. It's a cool charger, and down now from used to be 150, now it's 100. Which you can still get a lot cheaper chargers. It's just a very well designed and nice looking version of the charger. One downside I'd say is that the angle, you don't have a lot of flexibility on the angle of the MagSafe charger. but a lot of them don't have a lot of flexibility on the angle of the MagSafe charger, and I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, my wife and I both have these on our bedside table. I purchased them, and they're great. I hope we use them for many more years. Another key thing to look at if you're in the market for a 3-in-1 charger, I've tried some from, let's say, like OtterBox sent me one of theirs a while back and things that I played with. You want to watch out for ones that do not support Apple Watch fast charging. The Hi-Res 3 Deluxe supports Apple Watch fast charging, and that's something you really want if you want to do things like sleep tracking with your Apple Watch, because then you can drop your Apple Watch on the charging dock. Actually, mine is on my Hi-Res 3 Deluxe right now. I realized I forgot to put my watch back on from charging it earlier before starting my live stream. So, but it's probably already charged at this point, because that fast charger with the Apple Watch, most of the recent Apple Watches, I can't remember which ones, support fast charging. So if your Apple Watch supports fast charging, and you can look, up the tech specs for your particular model and find out, but that can be really nice, because then it really makes it go from up to full charge much quicker. So then you can really more feasibly do the whole charge a little bit in the morning, charge a little bit at night, and then otherwise wear it through the night and then also through the day. So, yeah, that's 12 South. Wow, we flew through a lot of the news pretty quick through this, through all the stuff happening this week. And I think there's actually some other stories that I didn't get to or missed. So, yeah. We'll probably get to those at other times. And by the way, speaking of news stories and things you might want to keep up with in the world of Apple and smart home tech, just a quick shameless self-plug for my newsletter called The Sunday Scene. It's a new weekly newsletter. Every week on Sunday, I'll send a quick newsletter with 3 things that I am paying attention to that week, or things that I think are worth your attention in the world of Apple or smart home tech. So we got this past week, I talked about my Ubiquiti U7 outdoor access point that I just put up. It's a pretty cool outdoor access point. It's so nice to have better Wi-Fi on my back porch and backyard in general. My Hisense C2 Ultra projector, as well as the Homey Pro Mini. I got some nice email feedback from some of you guys on the Homey Pro and how you're using, or Homey Pro Mini and how you're using that. Yeah, and I'll be talking more about that. It's kind of a research in progress on that video. I think I'm finally to actually having a video where I feel like can talk about that stuff. Before that, of course, Car Doorbell G410. So, yeah, just a fun newsletter, and you can go over and subscribe at my website, ericw.org/newsletter. So let's get to some more questions, comments, concerns down in the chat. Oh, yeah, so you're an Airfly fan. Cool. I've not tried the Airfly Bavashah, but I've seen it, and it looks like a cool option. So... All right, so let's see, what else have I been doing in my smart home? Well, right now, out behind me on the other side of that door, it looks like a tornado went through our home, because it's just kids and playing games and stuff. They've torn all the cushions off of that purple couch you might have seen in my videos, and the trampoline is angled the wrong way, like a little tiny exercise trampoline, not like a big thing. All kinds of stuff out there that it's a mess. And then they took Ubiquiti actually sent me some Wi-Fi stuff. I'm working on a video on some new stuff with Ubiquiti Wi-Fi. Not like new products they haven't released, just stuff that's already out there, but I want to talk more about it. And then my kids like took all the boxes out of the box and had them like strewn all over, which they're not allowed to touch Dad's boxes, of course. So that was a whole thing to discover they had done that. But they were having a good time, which is nice. But I've been on a quest to figure out the right way, and I'm still playing with different options and details. The right way I want to do some kind of energy monitoring automation where I get a push notification when our wash or dryer is done with a smart plug connected to the wash and dryer. I'm also working on some stuff around making our fridges, we have a deep freeze in the basement, and then also like the normal refrigerator, freezer in the kitchen, making those more smart with temperature monitoring, other things. So playing around with different options for both of those. Again, with the making the washer and dryer smart, I keep struggling with things struggling with ways to make sure I don't get a false positive of. There can be various times. I mean, it probably depends on your washer and dryer, but like if our washer goes into a cycle where it's like kind of refilling with water for like another rinse cycle or something, then the power draw will drastically reduce. And then it could kind of trigger another notification, right? And so it's like setting up some kind of automation there where it just sends once and then doesn't send again, but also then isn't triggered by a false alarm before it should send. It's kind of a whole... I've been playing with different options, different plugs, different ways to do the automation and Homey, and then I've also been playing with some other platforms as well, just different ideas. We'll see what actually lands if I have anything that I think is worth sharing, because it's also like one of those things where it's like I might figure it out for my washer and dryer, but is it something where I could really share it to everybody, to all you guys, and be like, hey, check this out, try this with your washer and dryer, because yours might be very different in how it consumes or doesn't consume power. So we'll see. It's like a pet project of mine. It gets annoying right when you're like around the house doing other stuff. Our washer and dryer is not an essential part of the home. It's down in the basement. And so to know that, oh yeah, the washer and dryer is done, can be tricky. So we'll see. But that's kind of one thing I've been working on. All right. No, you could ask a question about smart home tech or Apple if you're into that, either of those. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I do have Homey Pro. I don't have smart washers and dryers that could communicate with Homey Pro as the washer dryer themselves. So that's the thing there, is like that's where I'm trying to make non-smart washer and dryer smart. But yeah, Homey sent me a Homey Pro and a Homey Pro Mini. I didn't really talk about the Homey Pro that much. I just found the kind of the upfront cost for it to, I think, be a little bit less attractive than now what they have with the Homey Pro Mini. I think it's a better balance of costs. If you have a Homey Pro, there's no reason to go buy a Homey Pro Mini, right? Like, I think if you're the cost benefit is all relative, right? You might be really into automation, and then spending money on a Homey Pro is great, or whatever. It's different for everybody, but I just think in general the Homey Pro Mini is a better deal, and so that's why that's gotten me more excited about that platform. And if you're not familiar, folks who are joining the stream or maybe not familiar with the background of Homey, it's from this company. The company's name is Athom, Athom, and they were purchased by LG. Was it last year or the year before? It's like, I think 2024. But yeah, so this is the Homey Pro. So it's $3.99 for this little box, and it does a lot of different, monitoring of your smart home with energy usage. You can make all kinds of fancy dashboards and automations. I talked a little bit about it in my newsletter on Sunday. My one complaint about, and then here's Homey Pro Mini. So instead of $400 US, it is $200, I believe. So, and then it also has the option of extension bridge, which I don't have set up. They sent me one, but I haven't felt the need to add it yet. But yeah, for $199, Homey Pro Mini feels a little more, I don't know, like in the sweet spot of what I think would work. My one complaint about Homey in general, though, is that they don't have enough support for video surveillance for being like an all-encompassing home hub. Like they should have a lot more OnVIF and RTSP and all kinds of other support and ways to make it easier to set that up with more camera providers. They should almost be trying to build I think their own version of Scripted, where Scripted is great, but it's also kind of complicated to set up on Home Assistant. Scripted or other ways you can run Scripted, right? Or you can have anything connect to anything, and you can create HomeKit cameras out of feeds from your Unify cameras or something else. And that can be really cool, but it is kind of tricky to get everything lined up. And I think Homey could probably apply some of their good user experience and smart engineers to making that problem easier. I don't know if the Homey Pro Mini would have the power to do that kind of stuff. Probably would, but I'm not sure on that. But yeah, so that's my one complaint, is that they have some video surveillance stuff, but not nearly enough, I think, for trying to be like that all-encompassing smart home platform. But other than that, a lot of cool things you can do with Sonos integrations if you're into Sonos. Some nice automations there. And yeah, just talking to all kinds of different smart home platforms, and then, of course, exposing some of that to Apple Home. One other thing that I thought was... let me pull this up. Oh, whoops. Don't need to see me. One thing I saw recently that I don't follow as closely, but I think it's interesting kind of concept around this, is that now Control4 is advertising that they can do the same thing, same-ish kind of thing as Homey and Home Assistant, where they'll talk to Apple Home for you so you can control your devices from your from Apple Home, as well as, of course, all of Control4's stuff. So the reason I don't really cover Control4 too much is they're really meant for a home that's very high-end and has an installer come in and kind of put the smart home system in for the whole home, right? And that's great, but it can be a lot of money and not really something that I don't think the average... I mean, there's certainly the realm of wanting to be trained as an installer in doing this kind of stuff, or just being probably some hobbyists out there. But generally speaking, I think the people who are paying for a Control4 system are not taking the time to watch YouTube videos on smart home tech. They probably have 1,000,001 other things to do with their time. But it is that said, I'm sure someone will be like, I have a Control4 system. Yeah, they have more integrations with Apple Home that they added this year. It looks like, although it was back in April, but I just didn't catch it myself. So yeah, Control4 with their X4 platform, that's their new thing that has Apple Home integration, their new platform version. So yeah, just want to throw that out there. It's it's not just these open or these sort of power user smart home hubs that are doing these kinds of things where it's we can be a bridge into Apple Home. Other systems are doing it too. And I think that's an interesting kind of concept for Apple, where, they're kind of having to be a good partner to a lot of people in the smart home space, where maybe I think Apple in the past loves to control a lot of the stack, right? You use a lot of Apple stuff, hardware and software together, and it all works. And that's why we love a lot of Apple stuff. But with the smart home, it's it's kind of, it's a little bit different scenario. I don't think so, Curiosity Cat. I haven't played with that with Lutron there. but I don't think so. I wouldn't count on that. But that, I know there's a lot of strong fans of the Lutron Pico remote home bridge thing. You can do a lot of exposing them as cool buttons and other functions, basically kind of reverse engineering, I think, some of their spec for the Pico remotes and then sending that over to Apple Home in ways that Lutron doesn't intend, but it still works, and it's kind of cool stuff if you're not familiar. But yeah, I don't think that works in HomePod Pro. Question on Zigbee versus Z-Wave. I mean, I would just stick to Zigbee for now. I think the advantages of Z-Wave would be for something like Z-Wave long range, where you wouldn't have to worry as much about, well, where is Z-Wave in my home, right? Even a large home, Z-Wave can stretch for longer distances. So I would say just focus on one for now, and then maybe worry about Z-Wave later. Yeah, exactly. Back to what Bavisha was saying, Control 4 can get very expensive. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Brandon does have Control 4. Nice. Yeah. Brandon also, by the way, cool thing about Brandon's channel, he has a lot of connections in the Minnesota area and has been able to pull off some really amazing smart home tours. So whether or not you're in the market for actually a lot of high-end smart home stuff, it can be really fun to see, wow, this is like all the cool stuff that a high-end smart home can have. And it can also give you some ideas of maybe some automations you might want to set up yourself that are not done by an installer, of course, but you pull off of like putting LED light strips in a certain area, or using a motion sensor or something else in a certain way, or, like this using an iPad instead of like a Control 4 tablet, right? But to manage your home theater or something else. Like, there can be some cool ideas, inspiration there too. But yeah, so check out Brandon's channel on YouTube for some cool smart home tours, among other things too. But that's something I know Brandon's done some cool ones. Have you ever had devices just disappear from your Apple Home? No, I have not had this happen. But I have had devices become unresponsive, and I have removed devices. What you might have been seeing there is that when you add devices with a bridge, and then you add that bridge, actually, I take that back. There is a scenario where another scenario this might happen. But like if you add a device in your smart home from a bridge, right? Then if you remove that bridge, let's say an Aqara hub, a Philips Hue hub, a Lutron hub, whatever, could be any number of things, then all the accessories tied to that bridge go away right away. So you might not remember that a particular device was actually talking through one of those bridges, and then you remove the bridge from Apple Home and boom, it's gone. The flip side of that that could also be going on is something I've seen on and off with my Aqara M3 hub, where I add that as a Matter bridge into Apple Home, and then I add accessories there. And as I have moved to various new versions of Matter with Apple Home, something about that Aqara bridge plus Apple Home means that then a bunch of my Matter accessories from the M3 hub just get moved back to the room where the hub or the bridge is, right? So the bridge, my M3 hub, is in my dining room. If you've seen my smart home tour, that big cabinet in my dining room where I have like an Ethernet switch up there, and I plugged it in up there. And, overall, in general, it's working fine. But like I've had this on and off issue with some of those accessories. And so potentially what you're seeing Fritz 340 is maybe something like that, where a Matter bridge is getting messed up on its room assignments particularly as your Apple smart home moves to new versions of Matter, right? I think Matter 1.4 was the latest with iOS 18.4 or whatever this spring with all the robot vacuum stuff. So that could be something to consider too. But your Hunter fans disappeared, which doesn't make any sense because those are not bridged anyway. I have Hunter fans. They have not disappeared. Hunter fans, I would not categorize as reliable smart home tech. Mine have gone unresponsive plenty of times. Part of it also is sometimes my kids will flip the switch off for various reasons they shouldn't be doing. And then, of course, if it has no power, it's not going to be in your smart home. But I've had other issues as well with my Hunter fans, so that's weird. You're welcome, Brandon. Control 4 is not fun. Get a new device, you get to call a technician. Yes. I mean, I guess it's it's a flip side of like it's somebody else's problem to solve your problems, which is nice in a way, but then you lose sort of the control or power that you would have in your smart home with other stuff. So trade-offs, right? It's who has the control, but who's also on the hook to fix it. Oh no, Fritz 340, your smart home is a spooky place. Lots of ghost smart home devices. Your TVs are disappearing. All right. So I think we've covered just about everything I wanted to cover, except one other actually two other things that we haven't gotten to. I knew there were two news stories, or I didn't know it was actually exactly two, but like there was a couple news stories that I hadn't gotten to that I really have like strong opinions on that I'd love to share here. And the first, I'm not even going to bother pulling up a webpage for it, but it's this whole thing about Apple suing John Prosser, right? And, there's a whole lawsuit going on, quite the intriguing kind of crime investigation story, right? Along these the lines of these people breaking into this guy's iPhone. Anyways, my goal with this channel is to strictly report on the things that are already public, right? I'm not trying to fish out rumors from people at Apple. But it is a whole interesting side of things where, that whole business of getting Apple rumors is very tricky. And, it just, I think a lot of times the people who do it the best are just being good journalists, reporting on things sources tell them, and they're not trying to elicit things out of their sources, right? And get their sources to tell them stuff they shouldn't. But yeah, it's just kind of a sad thing all around. I was not happy to see that story for just our whole ecosystem around Apple, right? It was kind of sad, and I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about it other than just like it's not something I do on this channel, and yeah, we'll see what all happens in the proceedings for that whole trial. But yeah, tricky situation for everybody involved. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the you hope Apple buys Sonos. Yeah, that could be really nice. There's another side story. This is why I should have put this. Oh, yes. Apple being in the deals to buy F1. I know we've had some fellow F1 fans in the viewers here on the stream. We got the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend. I've become definitely an F1 fan. I brainwashed my kids into becoming F1 fans too. But for some reason, my oldest son is a diehard Max Verstappen fan. I'm not a Max Verstappen fan at all. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, that's what he's into. So anyways, I mean, clearly a very good driver, but the Max Verstappen, obviously, not my son. my son is not old enough to drive a vehicle anytime soon. But yeah, Apple's apparently going to get the rights to F1 and do some kind of streaming service. And yeah, I am actually pretty optimistic that this could work out really well and that Apple could bring F1 to a bigger audience, kind of like they have already with the movie. I'm hopeful. Initially, I was very skeptical. I was kind of worried about it's F1's losing kind of its general cable TV audience potentially with this kind of deal. We'll see how it's all structured, but overall, I think it could be really good. So, but one thing I like to do, and it's kind of related to F1, is, in this case, leave you with a video that is not related to Apple and smart home tech. Well, that is still something I think you should check out. And this is a very cool video about something I want to go check out. Speaking of, Brandon was talking about earlier with George about CES Las Vegas January. I would love to go check this out with maybe some fellow smart home creators. But F1 has a whole new experience around the kind of the paddock building they have for the Vegas Grand Prix is turning into this whole F1 experience thing. And so this is a little bit of an ad for F1 experience from the F1 channel, but it is kind of cool as well. So if you know, I know Vegas is a place where plenty of folks go for all kinds of different reasons. And so if you're headed to Vegas anytime soon, this might be worth checking out. Looks kind of cool. I definitely want to check it out myself. So at some point. So maybe CES this year, a number of us creators will head down there. But yeah, so some funny jokes here in the chat. But yes. Yes, and I have watched the Vision Pro experience for Formula One. That's pretty cool too, where you can ride around with Brad Pitt in the car. Anyways, with that, have a good night, everybody. It's been a good live stream, and yeah, go check out that F1 paddock experience in Vegas. Looks kind of cool. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you in the next video. And stay tuned. I have a number of cool videos in the works, so stuff happening on my channel soon.